throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboard, they're on. We're coming forward with the side stick. All looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Neighbor 3. Pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha hold is off. Trim selectors emergency. Flight com. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
You're listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Everybody, and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm Dave. Got my good buddy Howard here. Dave DiBiase has been called to a
higher purpose.
Well, I don't know if it's a higher purpose.
Well, lower,
but
maybe lower.
He got called to another purpose, which he had to attend to. It's like when your house is on fire, you gotta
someone's got to
right now.
Someone's got to carry pails.
Exactly.
So he's bailing.
And we got Kenny with us. Hi, Kenny.
Hello.
And we've got a friend in studio who we may be pulling on in a minute. Hi, Charles.
He's playing shy, but I think we can get him on a mic.
I know
he's like a party animal, dude. You get a couple drinks in him, he won't shut up.
We've the people that we normally give a shout out to, our friends at Face of Truth. We're going to be having a show with them, and I'm going to say I hope we are. We're working on that in the background, and we were going to be with that topic today, obviously talking about 9/11, which is something that Howard and I can certainly talk about all day because that is perhaps the biggest.
It's what brought us together.
It is, and it is. That event has probably done more to wake people up to what is going on in this world than perhaps any other.
It was the final straw. It was the one that got just a little bit bigger than the last great lie they pulled off, and this one was just too big to believe, and everybody's like, oh, come on, really?
You know, we've got, as of a year ago, there was roughly more than half of the country already, I'm not going to say believed that 9/11 was, quote unquote, an inside job, which is it's not a great term to describe what the issues are with 9/11. So, Claudio, we're gonna have some of your folks on in a little bit. How many guys you got coming on the line tonight?
There's Kevin Brant. He's the administrator of many of our groups. Administrator extraordinaire, extremely well informed.
Yeah, I've come across Kevin many times, certainly on Facebook, and he's somewhat of a bigwig in the 9/11 truth movement. Who else we have tonight?
There's Gina Cramer. She's a tough Jersey girl, extremely spiritual, extremely intellectual, and as sweet as can be. But she's a real warrior, and for the good guys, of course. We needed, and she's like, I got when I'm talking to these guys, I'm like, we got to be tougher than the bad guys in order to defeat them. Otherwise, forget about it. We might as well go home. So she's one of those tough guys. She's ready to kick their ass, So, and then we got...
hopefully she's not ready to kick my ass. I'm a good guy.
You better not confront and say that. Then we got Trina Maria, and she's the epitome of basically what we're all about. She's all full of love and, humanity. It's like, the love for humanity. It's just... She outpours, when she speaks, you can tell, she works a lot behind the scenes, with the campaign, because the majority of the work that we do is behind the scenes. Talking to you, Dave, is behind the scenes, right? We don't do it in front of everybody, and talking to Richard Gage and all these other big advocates that we want to help, because basically we, what we do is we're doing the best we can to organize the grassroots part of the movement and to help guys like you, because without grassroots, where, the big guy's going to go, without grassroots support, where architects and engineers be and so on.
I've got a question for you, but I just want to make sure. Anyone else beyond Trina? Tina or Trina?
There's Trina and Gina. I know, it drives me crazy.
The Ina sisters.
Yeah.
Anyone else that we're going to be bringing on tonight?
No, that's it.
All right.
You got Kevin, Brant, Trina, and Gina.
All right. While we work to get those guys on, I want to ask you a question, something you mentioned just a minute ago. Defeating, the bad guys. What does defeating them mean to you? And tell me a little bit how you think that might look. Like, what does that look like in your world?
Well, you got to remember that what we're up against. What would 9/11 truth expose? Well, the media is number one. Just think about the media, just that entity, just that little cartel. Now imagine people that are well informed, that have stepped out of the matrix, confronting those guys. They got all the money. They're the friggin' media, Lord have mercy, and all we've got is each other and the truth, and our persistence, of course. And but not only that, but we have strategy. We strategize. How are you going to beat these guys? Well, that's why we came up with our campaign. Because you got to start. They've got the biggest show on the planet. Propaganda is nothing but a gigantic show. And you've got your actors, and you've got your producers, and you've got all your technicians, and the good guys, us, we only have each other, and this little Skype that we can't figure out yet, and the podcast, the archives, and our little campaign, and you're doing your part. Everybody's got a different role to play in the movement. We've got a David Hooper that came out with this friggin' awesome tool that I recommend to everybody. Your Anatomy of a Great Deception is fantastic to hand to somebody. It's like there's not a lot of people are not going to go on YouTube and look you up. So you can hand them a DVD. They could see it, when they're, at their convenience, when they're ready for it. They say, you got to see this movie, man. This guy was just like you, was like me before I stepped out of the matrix and so on. But
how did you first figure out that there was something off about 9/11? Are you one of those guys that knew it like as the towers were falling, or did it take you some time?
I saw the towers go down, both of them, from a rooftop in Brooklyn. And I was still living in Brooklyn at the time, and we were like right across the river from Manhattan, and we had a clear view of Lower Manhattan and the Twin Towers, and so we saw them come down, and then we were like, that's a blue collar neighborhood. You got cops, you got construction workers, and everybody in between. And we were all like, all on the roof, right, and talking to each other and speculating, like what could who could have done it, et cetera, et cetera. And but once they started coming down, I mean, besides us screaming and you want to hear some Brooklyn terminology, Lord have mercy, man. We were screaming.
This is a family station, so
crap.
Probably gonna have a bunch of words flying out of your mouth.
I'm not going to go there. That's why I say Brooklyn terminology. You guys know what I'm talking about. Exactly. So anyway, but then we were saying explosions. We all said it. Every single one of us said explosions. But of course, you turn on that TV, man. They've got the greatest show on earth. You turn on that TV, and we all got brainwashed. So I still believed in our country. I still believed in our government, and that. Yeah,
but did you believe that there was something fishy about it day one, or were you going along with what you were hearing on the news that day?
I got into, for the first time, after 9/11, like everybody else, I wanted to do something about it. I got involved with politics. I got involved with. I watched the news every friggin' day, every single channel. Since that time. And I got involved with the Occupy movement. I got involved with the Wolf Pack to overturn Citizens United. And I was frustrated with the Occupy movement, by the way. You know how big it was. It was worldwide. It was fantastic, but there was no focus. There was no, let's focus on something that, like a cancer, that can address all the symptoms. Me, I'm about, go after the money. If you go after the money, you starve these guys. You get money out of politics. Overturn Citizens United and so on, and expose the Federal freaking Reserve. I think 90% of our freaking financial problems would be solved just by closing that piece of crap.
I would say it's would be closer to 100%.
Yeah. All right. So you're better.
It's following the money. When I really understood what it meant that we gave our right to print our own money to the Federal Reserve in the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, that is really when, in a lot of ways, the British won the Revolutionary War. I mean, if there are some historians that will phrase it that way.
That's right.
And it's
how they got their foot in the door.
Yeah, I mean, they were already floating around. We've had, we play a quotes game every now and then, and we were talking about some quotes from presidents prior to 1913, from Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, who already, in fact, last week the quote from Abraham Lincoln was, he was talking about the Civil War, I've got the Confederate Army on one front, and I've got the banksters on another front, and of those two enemies, I am more concerned about the banksters. And they would, a mere 30 or so years later, get that Federal Reserve Act passed after he was, quote unquote, assassinated by some crazed lone gunman, i.e., another false flag, another three-namer.
Yeah. Well,
so
that was,
when you talk about, because you talk about they, and it's like them versus us, we're the good guys. Is that who you think they are? Are the folks behind the Federal Reserve, or is there a little more to it in your world? Tell me a little bit about who you think they is, who this war is against.
Well, I was talking to Kevin Brant about this because he would get peed off at me because I'd say, oh, they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. Who are the bad guys? Well, you got your bankers. You've got the people that they can buy. They're bad. They compromise on their principles and so on. Screw humanity. It doesn't matter if you're a politician. Doesn't matter if you're a newscaster, weatherman who can't, regarding chemtrails, can't say, oh, well, there's something up. These are not clouds, or this is not whatever. But the corruption is everywhere. They're all bad. All corruption is bad.
Well, so would you say that, like, and understand that many of our listeners might be very new to this information. So when we're talking about bankers, are you talking about a guy that is running a branch, as a VP and running a Bank of America branch somewhere?
Talking about, I'm not talking about your average everyday, good, hardworking, guy. I'm talking about people that are in the know, people that know that there is corruption. I was in telecommunications. I'll give you a first-hand example. When I was in telecommunications, and I was, I kicked butt, and I made a lot of money. And then I became one of the big boys. I stepped in like everybody else on the ground floor, and I just friggin', once I knew what to do, I just went for it, and then, broke records and everything. And then I started hanging out with the big boys. And then I'm advocating for, the sales force. I was advocating for the, to make it easier for them to make more money, et cetera, training materials for them. We had a Hispanic group. They were in the thousands, and we said we have nothing for them. We have no training materials for these guys. I said we need to fill that void, and basically what I got from my peers was, look, man, it's all about attrition, man. People come in, people go out. We're basically going to use them. And we're going to make a lot of money from doing so. And I was shocked. I said, wait a minute. I didn't get into, I came into this thing, like everybody else, to make some extra money for me and my family, etc. I wanted to leave my construction business behind and, and do this thing full time regarding telecommunications. And I said, so basically, you guys are going to be exploiting human beings so you guys can benefit. And there was only a handful of people at the top. Well, what was I supposed to do? I'm a minister's son. My mother taught me, Jesus is my friggin' hero. I may not believe in the hocus pocus part, but I believe in the man. And I believe, and I love that he spoke truth to power. I love that he got out of his comfort zone. He was he was leading by example and so on. And I said to myself, I got to get out of here. I was looking at $1 million a year income. And I was going for it. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew, by the way, everybody knew who Claudio was there, because I was rocking and rolling, man. And anyway, so
actually, one thing you said that's interesting. Just last week, we talked about a quote from Gandhi, who actually said this. Because most people, well, let me give you the quote, and then I want to make a comment about it.
I needed to finish what I was going to say because it's extremely important, and then
all right, well,
show you what a bad guy is.
Well,
and what a good guy is.
This ties into what you just said. So let me just throw this out there and then finish your story. But his quote was, you assist an evil system most effectively by obeying its orders and decrees. An evil system never deserves such allegiance. Allegiance to it means partaking of evil. A good person will resist and will resist an evil system with his or her whole soul. And most people in this world don't do that, but you did. So let's finish hearing that.
Exactly. There's a lot of quotes like that. Martin Luther King said so, and had similar quotes, and throughout history, you had these heavy-duty people, saying similar things in their own way. But once I discovered that, like I said, that these are a bunch of greedy bastards exploiting, good human beings that, they got into the, telecommunications so they could pay their mortgage, so they can, help their kids go to college, and et cetera. And I said, I'm not going to be playing with their dreams, man. That means when I'm going to get on stage, I'm going to lie to them. You got a shot here. You're going to make a lot of money, which when I knew it was BS. You needed to be extraordinary to get to that position. I'm not saying that I was extraordinary. I just follow extraordinary people. I just did what they did. I just, said what they said, etc., And anyway, so, but not most people are not like that. So,
yeah, do you think today it doesn't seem like they are, but when my dad was part of the greatest generation, according to Tom Brokaw. He fought in World War II, and the way that he and his friends used to discuss things like honor and integrity and character.
You go. Yes.
It doesn't seem like those things exist. At least not that way anymore.
Oh, no, man.
Why do you think that's changing? Or is it changing, or has it just always been that way? I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I'll let you know in a second. I walked away from that potential $1 million a year income and more, because I would have reached another level after that. I stopped going to my own trainings. I stopped going to my own. I mean, this was my stuff, with my crew. And people were calling me for like a month. They were knocking on my door. Claudio, where are you, man? This is weird. Everybody was basically freaking out. After a month, because I needed to digest, I was like, I got thousands of people. I got thousands of people involved in this sales, in my sales, organization and in telecommunications. I says, how do I face them? What do I say? Am I supposed to lie to them? I couldn't do that. So then after a month, I let a couple of my top guys, the real leaders in my organization, they came to my house, and I says, look, guys. So I told them what I basically just said, a little bit ago about this is exploitation, man. They're using you. They want me to keep lying to you and everybody else, and all the new guys coming in, that everybody's going to be, making money. Well, actually, we're just using you. For a handful of us that will be friggin' making a killing off you guys. I says, I want nothing to do with it. I don't give a crap how much money is there, but that's the difference between a good guy and a bad guy. You understand? To me, that's...
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to lie to another human being so you can gain personally, you're a bad guy.
If you're going to lie to another human being, period.
My friend Dino from Brooklyn, he's part of this campaign. And by the way, he founded our campaign because of our banners. And because they do friggin' work. When people say they don't friggin' work, they're lying. And this is the damn truth movement,
Wait, who found? Give me the name again.
Dino Constantino. Anyway, he's from Brooklyn.
Sure.
We used to do construction jobs together. Anyway, so Dino, so I'm talking to Dino, and we're talking about good guys and bad guys. The bad guy is always the con artist, the guy that will cheat on, like hit on your wife. He's got no morals.
Well, that's the easy to spot bad guy. But the real bad guy, and much harder to spot, is the guy that he's got a lot of glory, he's well dressed, he's well respected, acclaimed, but he cut the deal that you didn't cut with whatever organization he was with, and he somehow can look in the mirror knowing full well that he is taking advantage of people around him and selling him something that he knows he won't be able to deliver.
That's right.
I mean, that doesn't just happen with our mainstream media. I'm seeing this in business and in government, obviously.
Everywhere. I'll tell you about my Wall Street experience. I hung out with guys. I was always a hustler, in the good possible way. Always setting the example for my siblings, because that's what I'm a big brother, so I want to show them that you're as limited as you want to be, and so I had to, of course, always be a winner because I felt my responsibility to them. So anyway, Wall Street, I met some people that knew a lot more than me. I just, hang out with people that know more than me. That's, monkey see, monkey do, So anyway, I invested with them, made up $10,000 in one day, right? I took my money out. I said, okay, I'm not reinvesting. Now I'm going to study Wall Street. I said, now that I could see that I could win here, I started to study Wall Street. Again, what I discovered was exploitation. Exploitation of your fellow man. You exploit the living daylights out of them until there's nothing left. Then what do you do with your fellow man? Do you dump them? Do you cremate them and make a profit on that? What do you do? But that's what I saw. I walked away from Wall Street also. So Wall Street is also, it's a corrupt, I can't say it's a cartel, but it's like a club, just greedy people. They don't care if they lie. They don't care if they steal. They don't, they'll buy politicians. I mean, buying a politician's public servant. You're buying a public servant. So now you're going to corrupt that individual, right? So and he's supposed to be serving the public. Now who's going to win? Basically you are, because you just bought that guy and you're a cold-blooded psychopath.
Well, you mentioned Jesus earlier. He actually specifically said something about not just accepting bribes, but offering bribes.
There you go.
Being a prize. It's as if he almost could see into the future, into some of the problems we were having today.
Well, he recognized human nature. And, we've got our good and bad. Like I said to my daughter, I says, we all got good and bad, in us. We have to choose which one. I says, and when you're good, that means you're setting you're leading by example. And then I said, a leader is always a leader. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're going to be a father, you're going to be a good leader. If you're a good brother, etc., husband, and so on. But it all starts there. That decision that you initially make. Doing the right thing, for example. We got a lot of people, in the movement, and I says, if you get a 9/11 awareness banner, it actually helps the movement. Right? So if it works on a small scale, imagine what it does on a large scale. And we definitely need it on the large scale, right? But people, they'll say, no, I don't feel like it. It's a click, it's this. No, it's a freaking marketing campaign, man. And it freaking works, dude. Just look at it like that.
Oh, without a doubt. And
yeah. This opinion bullshit. Excuse me. I just said, sorry out there. I didn't mean no disrespect by using some Brooklyn. But this opinion crap, you're entitled to your opinion. What I say, regarding that people that say that, I said, you know what? I mean, if in the old days, I'd punch you in the face for saying something like that to me. I'm entitled to the truth. I'm entitled to reality. That opinion crap is what's screwing us up. Your opinion.
You're not even.
Opinion.
You're really not entitled to your opinion.
Who the hell
anymore.
needs that, man? We need freaking reality. We need damn truth here. You understand that opinion crap and speculation and you have a belief and you're entitled to a belief? No, how about just fucking reality? Excuse me again.
He's from Brooklyn, folks. Let's give him a couple of passes.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean no disrespect.
We're gonna send the FCC ticket right to you.
You know what? You know how many times
there's people out there. And I don't mean no disrespect. We've got people in our campaign that are religious. We got people, that are extremely moral. And they don't use profanity, and I apologize to them and everybody else, including my daughter, if she should hear this.
That's okay, Claudio. It comes out of passion. I myself occasionally drop an F-bomb or two when I'm passionate in my
More than
discussion.
one or two. I mean,
Well, we must show
or a dozen.
discipline. You know, there's a decadence in America, man. I mean, we have turned into such friggin' like rebels without a cause. You know, that movie started a whole friggin' trend of us dumbing down, you know? And now we're spreading it throughout the whole damn planet. Now there's decadence with all the youth all over the world. We need that your father. We need that old time, you know, good school guy, you know, back here, and the old time, you know, good mom back here, you know, with the morals and the principles that they used to instill on us, and the pride in your work and love your neighbor and so on. You know, we've got psychopaths, you know, brainwashed.
Yeah, and when you can't have what you want, you work harder to get it.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
whine
all the
about it
good
and talk
stuff.
about your feelings.
All the good stuff has been thrown out the window. Do what you want, you know. Take this job and you know, F it, and even that song is decadent. You know, no, don't you think that they'd say that in Japan? They have freaking pride. They do whatever it takes to make sure that the company does well. Now in Japan, you know, when the company does well, it rewards its workers. So of course, you know, there's this equal back and forth. But over here, you know, it's because it's so damn corrupt and there's so much greed, you know, that the company's about screw the worker. Let's get rid of the friggin' worker. I mean, that's what it has evolved into. Even, you know, having a union is a bad thing. No, you know, unions were created for a good thing, to protect the worker. You know, now we got politicians saying that it's no good. No. They've been saying that, by the way.
No, it's like unions are like any other kind of organization. They get corrupted as well. I mean, they were necessary.
There's bad guys everywhere.
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
Right, everywhere. And it is being instilled in us that it's okay to be. That's the problem. And
that's because
created by our friggin', you know, politicians that are friggin', they're not supposed to be bought. They're supposed to be working for us. They're supposed to be telling us the truth. They're not supposed to, you know, when I remember when I was a little kid, and if there was too much sex on a show or too much, you know, innuendo, etc. I mean,
when we were kids, I Love Lucy. Ricky and Lucy couldn't even be in the same bed. They had to have two singles.
I was always really confused how little Ricky got there.
Now you got women, you know, screwing on their wives. You got the men screwing, you know, I mean, you know, vice versa, and that seems to be the norm, but it is, those are the bad guys. They are everywhere. They compromise on our principles, and they don't care what the consequences are. They just care about their bread and butter. I have no respect for a newscaster that makes $25 million a goddamn year to hide reality from us. When her responsibility, I'm thinking about Rachel Maddow, because she was a big deal with me, man. You know, when I was still in the
Do you think they're hiding it, or do you think they're...
you think they're even aware?
No, they're hiding it, man. I mean, look.
You think they really know what's going on? Because I think they're more ignorant than that.
Look, when you make $25 million a year, you make sure you don't know what certain things are going on.
Word.
You look at the status quo, what they want, and you will cater to them. $25 million a year, not everybody can walk away from that, you know? And so it's a mindset, and it was created, and it's nurtured, and it's reinforced. And so in order for, you know, for us to change, I mean, to change this world, we got to change first. Every single one, every single individual. I mean, David Hooper, I admire you a lot. You know that. I've been saying it since, you know, the first time you came onto the scene. And we've had a lot of discussions about that. All of a sudden, you got yourself an awareness banner. I didn't even nudge you. I says, David Hooper just did the right thing. He just got out of his comfort zone. He's doing the right thing. I says, I got to admire that frigging guy. So you're like a quadruple hero to me.
Well, do you have a hard time getting people to put up awareness banners?
Because guess what? You know, with good guys, in the mix, they're the bad guys. And they're here, and they look like good guys. What is infiltration? You know, look it up in the dictionary. What does it mean?
Well, right? When you are in a government of lies, a truth teller is going to look like a what's the word I'm looking? A rebellious one. A conspirator, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're here in the mix. This most infiltrated movement in the world. They are here. They're your Facebook friends. They're not going to get banners. They're going to keep you talking for another friggin' 15 years until all die off. They get paid for doing that.
Oh, I've run across several of them. You actually can, once you're in the ring for a while, you can actually identify them pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, some of them you can't. Some of them
not
you
at
can't.
first, not at first, not especially
No,
if you're.
no, some of them you can't. They play different roles. Remember, movies reflect reality, and then reality reflects movies. Like if you see saw enough movies, like I friggin' did, because I was around movie people. Behind the scenes stuff, whatever. So movies to me is not just a story. It's all the technical stuff, all the stuff that they had to put in there to create this. Like JFK. The JFK. That's another thing. They made sure Mossad wasn't shown as one of the potential people that actually got rid of our president. That wasn't and they made sure. But they put a lot of money. See, I didn't know that part, until recently. Kevin Brant just woke me up to that just the other day.
So going back to what was the thing that got you to take a second look at 9/11? I mean, because
all right,
tell us about that.
Let's go. All right, so my son, 2009. So see, I'm in the middle of the Matrix, politics, whatever. My son is going to school, 6:30 in the morning. He says, "Pop, 9/11 was an inside job." And I looked at him. I said, I had no clue what the hell he was talking about. And I looked at him. I said, "What do you want for breakfast?" Because I was too early, man. So to get into that, heavy conversation. But he never pursued it. And anyway, but I never forgot it.
How old was your son at the time?
He was Claudio was about 17, maybe. It was like his last, because I had to drop him. I got to drop him off at the bus stop every morning, because it's like a mile and a half away.
Okay.
Anyway, so then 2011, I'm listening to a podcast like you guys, like a live stream, and had nothing to do with 9/11. It had to do with politics, blah blah blah, and then somebody would call in and they would start to question 9/11, 9/11's official story, and the guy would answer. The host would say, yes, it was an inside job. It was, people, in the know, we're in our government and so on. It's the only way that could happen. Then within that month, 3 separate people called in and they were inquiring about 9/11. And after the third person, I said, you know what? Let me look into this 9/11 thing. And what did I punch into Google? 9/11 was an inside job, what my son said. The first thing I saw was a little video, like in the search. Once, sometimes they show a video, and you can just play it right there in the Google search. And it was about World Trade Center 7. And it's also, it said that, the official story, basically says that this was office fires. When I clicked that thing and I saw that building come down symmetrically and at free fall speed, I said, holy crap. See, I'm a construction guy. My roots are construction. And I was an A+ freaking science student, man. And I'm like, and I've seen enough, between me and my son watching, the History Channel and all of these Discovery channels and watching these, controlled demolitions over and over and over again and discussing them and so on. Anyway, so between me and my son is extremely smart. He's like one of these super gifted kids. I don't know where that came from. I'm smart, but really smart.
His mother, maybe? No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so
that was my first jaw dropper too. I'm like, wait a minute, this building.
That was one of the first things to start with me.
I played with Erector sets when I was a kid. There is no way this thing would just come.
All of that experience, all of that common sense starts to kick in. All of those anomalies, by the way. I had so many anomalies stuck in my head, about, the buildings coming down 1 and 2, because I didn't even know about World Trade Center 7. And so
yeah, they only flash 2 beams of light from ground zero, not 3. I mean, there's so many little things they do to keep people from looking.
Covered up.
Look, once I saw that video, within seconds, all of a sudden that those anomalies that I saw in the media, I says, wait a minute, why aren't they pointing out that these politicians are incapable of running anything? Why are they giving them a platform as if like they're legitimate? These guys are not qualified. Why are they giving them? They used to boggle my mind.
Did it?
You know? And so
did you
all
feel?
of a sudden, I says, the media's bought. The media covered this up. Without the media, they couldn't have gotten away with that. And so I made the connections within seconds. That was it, man. And then
So were
down
you
the
at
rabbit
this
hole,
time? Were you angry? Were you depressed?
Oh,
Did
man,
you feel
I was
betrayed?
freaking. Well,
What were
first
your
person,
emotions?
I ran to my wife. I said, "Honey, our government, is in on it. 9/11 was an inside job. Whatever." She didn't want to hear it, because she has, I shocked the living daylights. So
yeah.
I was shocked. I walked around the block 10 times.
I understand that.
And I realized. Then I started thinking, because I didn't realize that when I was watching one of those buildings come down, that my cousin was inside there. She was inside there, and then that started to kick in. Then I was getting real friggin' mad. And then my sister was supposed to show up to work that day. She had a temp job. Right now she's a school teacher in Florida, teaching second graders. And she was supposed to show up to work that day. And man, when I realized that, I said, holy Jesus, man, I'm going to kick somebody's ass. I'm going to do something.
But at that time,
down the rabbit hole I went.
Who was your anger directed at back then?
Pardon me?
Who was your anger? So you wanted to kick someone's ass.
Whose
ass do you go kick when you find this?
Well, it's like what we say about our this campaign. We basically pique the interest, of the general population, and then we direct them to where they should start to, go down the rabbit hole, like you say, the theme of your show. And but down the rabbit hole I went to find out who did it. And so with years now, this is 2 years later, I says I think 2 years of research about the who, the what, the where, the majority is speculation, but there's a lot of obvious stuff. There's, the people that profited off, 9/11, there's so many, so you could connect those, Larry Silverstein and, boom, right there, man, there's a bad guy right there. It's pretty obvious, the media's not going to say it, but the evidence, is pretty blatant too. It tells you that. That's a bad guy, so he's one of them.
Well, do you think Larry Silverstein did it?
No. He's complicit. He's involved in the cover-up. He's involved.
Right. That was sort of a leading question because he obviously couldn't plan that. He can't get our military to step
Who
aside.
Actually planned it? Well, we slowly evolved with Kevin Brant, and we got introduced to Christopher Bolin. And then Christopher Bolin, once we started, I got his book. I've got it on my desk.
Oh, the writer, sure. He's. I think he's doing a tour as we speak through the U.S. talking about it.
I think he's done with the tour.
I actually got an email from him a little while ago because he wants to come to Michigan. So I'm not going to say.
Is he still in the States? I got the impression that he went back home.
Well, either way, he's recently, at least we can say, was out talking about his book and talking about how and he's not a fan of the term inside job, which I can understand because it doesn't do a great, it doesn't describe what we're talking about well, because there was so many elements that were outside of our borders. There were also some that were inside of our borders too.
Well, one thing leads you to another. It's like, the radio program that I was listening to, and the callers that were calling in led me to something else. Then the inside job thing led me to something else. And all of a sudden, here I am talking about Christopher Bolin. And then my next step is to say the dancing Israelis. And then, the Zionists. And Israel is definitely complicit, man. Holy Jesus Christ. And they're buying everything. Right now, and you can't even boycott friggin' Israel, for the atrocities they're doing to the Palestinians. You can't boycott their products in Canada. It's friggin' against the law, man. This is how much power these guys have. And if we don't do something real fast, I'm telling you, man, that you can't even say, we can't have this conversation. We'll go to jail for having this particular conversation, if they get their way.
Soon. That's what people around me, that's one of the reasons that this hit home for me is if you just, stretch out the little continuum line that we've been on here for a while, pretty soon, we're looking at the real police state as in George Orwell, where having any opinion outside of what the government says you can have is an executionable offense. We are so much closer to that than most people realize. It's scary.
Well. Just to say, we need to move our butts right now. The writing is on the wall. It's all over the world. I mean, the news media you're not going to see it when you turn on the TV, but at least online, we've got credible people writing about it, speaking about it, and guys like you, with your podcast, super responsible guys, good human beings that are not going to, that take the truth, don't compromise on it, and you're extremely responsible with what you say. It's extremely important that when we do say something to each other, that it has to be on the money. Speculation, if it's speculation, you should say speculation. But don't, speculation is not fact, but as long as we're responsible like that, we should keep advocating that. But we got every single individual that knows, it's like I say regarding, one of the things that I go by, those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. Every single freaking one of you out there that has the privilege to know, you better move your butts. And the time is like right friggin' now.
All right. Now, so I am the face of truth. You said this was something that Dino started doing. Dino
found actually, we did construction jobs in Brooklyn, and he was very into, he was like he wanted to expose the Federal Reserve. I think he loves Russo. What's his first name? Russo. Aaron Russo.
Oh, what? There is Italian. Aaron Russo is a Hollywood movie producer for any listeners that aren't familiar with him. He was involved in putting the movie Trading Places out to us, was a friend of Nick Rockefeller, one of the Rockefeller descendants, who over time they became friends, and he started learning about some of the these, what he then found out weren't random accidents, but pre-planned events, and he came to the conclusion that these people are evil, and he started speaking out about it. Then, of course, he died of cancer somehow.
Yeah, young guy too. Yeah, I mean, pretty
that
young.
That's a hero in my book, a guy like Aaron Russo, without a doubt.
Well, that's Dino's number one friggin' hero, and so he's in a group about the Federal Reserve and sharing Aaron Russo's videos. He's like promoting Aaron Russo all over the place. But he kept seeing our banners, our 9/11 awareness banners, and he clicked on one, and then he saw our URL, our website address on it.
Well, I talk about, I think almost every show we give a shout out to I Am the Face of Truth.
We do.
And we also talk about how, especially like on Facebook, if you ever seen in block yellow letters profile pictures that have a country, by Charles, you ever see someone that has, and because you guys are global now, and to me it seems like you guys are all over the
everywhere
place.
Everywhere you look.
So we definitely have a presence. I mean, that's the marketing aspect of it, but we're uniting people. That's because we got. The awareness banner is like a Swiss Army knife. They do a lot of stuff, all right? And so, of course, you got the marketing. We're branding. We need to, Coca-Cola, the natives in the middle of the Amazon knows what friggin' Coca-Cola looks like. That's called branding. Now, if you want to sell 9/11 Truth, you're going to have to brand it. You're going to have to advertise it like Coca-Cola does every friggin' 5 seconds on TV. And billboards and so on. And so that's basically what our campaign is about. Part of it, the marketing aspect is to brand the movement, to make it look.
No, it's brilliant because, I look through my own contacts group of friends. Now, maybe for me it skews a little bit, but people that have nothing to do with 9/11, almost everyone, it seems, has at least one person in their circle of friends that has that banner. You guys must have thousands. How many banners have you guys put out there in this?
Unfortunately, we don't have 1 million. Now that we need millions, but we've made over 15,000. I don't know. I lost count how many, but it's over 15,000 now. And but once we get it automated. Of course, that takes funding, and then we're working to go to be a non-profit soon. That's already in the works. And I know our the bad guys don't want us to, to have any money, but guess what? Money's a tool. But anyway, we've got 3 people, human beings, on our team that are waiting to be on the show. And they're listening patiently, but I know that they're going to get real peed off, So is it possible that we can connect them already, or are we still having technical difficulties?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a hard time doing it through the station's incoming phone lines. We're going to have to do something. We could do one of 2 things.
Hey, they can call in. I called in on my Skype. I just clicked on Cave Creek, right? The icon. I clicked on it.
Cave Radio, yeah.
And it gave me the option to call you. So I'm calling you on Skype right now.
Why
so
don't we
if you guys are listening, click on the icon.
Tell you what.
And call in.
We're at the top of the hour, so we're going to Claudio, you stay on the line.
All right.
We're going to run a few commercials and do a few things we need to do to make the FCC happy. In the meantime, you stay on the line, and let's start with maybe let's try one. Let's have Kevin call in and see if we can get both callers to simultaneously be on the air. Once Kevin's on, we'll get Gina and Trina, and with a little luck, we'll all be on the air. But I'm going to put the odds of that happening at, let's say, 50-50 right now.
Well, they could use the Skype to call in, not a phone. They use the Skype to call in, like I did. I'm calling you on Skype.
Right.
We'll do the same thing. It's a possibility that we can all get connected.
I'm about to learn if our station can handle more than one Skype at a time, which it should. I mean, my home Skype does. So, all right. So, Kenny, why don't we plan for about a 5-minute break or so and do what we have to do? Claudio, you stay on, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Let him talk.
All right, we're back with Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm Howard. Dave is using the facilities at the moment. By the infinite grace of God, Kenny has managed to hook the Skype up, and we've got a whole host of I Am the Face of Truth advocates and people on the line with us. So I think Claudio wanted to turn the mic over. I think we're going to talk to Kevin next. So, Kevin, welcome all of you, Trina, Gina as well, to Down the Rabbit Hole. But, Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your role at I Am the Face of Truth is about?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, my name's Kevin Brant, and I mostly administer the posting groups for Face of Truth. But there's, a lot of and anything else that comes up along the way.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of you're handling a lot of the technical aspects for the monster that Claudio builds.
That's right. Yes, we all do something. We all have our roles.
Yeah. Same over here. And so, how long have you been involved with I Am the Face of Truth?
I think since I don't even know how long it's been. Really, to be honest, a little over a year at least. I think I was close to the beginning. I've seen a lot of people come and go.
Okay. And so I'm assuming that that you found something that at some point woke you up and made you want to get involved and advocate for this cause. What was the turning point for you? What tipped your hat to the fact that what we were being told is just not the truth?
Well, I was a late bloomer, and I really believed the lies for a long time. It was a gradual. I saw some of the limited hangouts, and I sort of slowly came around. My life was busy. I was, like everybody else, doing other things. I was actually dividing my time between 2 countries. And so I was pretty caught up in my own world. But I had a friend who got a hold of me, a friend from my past, and he just wouldn't let it go and kept on pestering me about this issue. I'd been politically active before, and he was trying to get me involved. And really, it took about a year. He just kept on pestering me, and I really didn't want to look into it. I just didn't think it was possible to create a deception of this magnitude. And but slowly, I came around.
Yeah, it's all kind of hard to believe. That they would go to these kind of lengths to find the ends that they're trying to serve.
Yeah, I think so too. I was living in Brazil half the time. I thought, well, how could they, fool everybody down there? I mean, it's a different government, different news networks,
right?
But they did.
Yeah, I'm a lot I'm a lot the same. I was just distracted with everyday life, and then finally something happened that triggered my awakening, and I did what you did, and I got involved. So we got Dave back, and we're on with Kevin. We're on with
not
Kevin.
Gina or Trina right now, unless they have very
No,
low
but
voices.
they're here. They are here too.
Hi, ladies.
So
Hi,
Kevin,
how are you?
Kevin was just explaining to us his role and
Hi, David.
and what he's doing, and I think it's time for one of the girls to introduce themselves. Unless Kevin had anything you wanted to add.
No, I'm fine.
All right, Gina, you're up next. How did you get hooked up with all of this?
Well, I actually was raised in New Jersey. I watched the towers being built, and I took it very, very hard when the towers came down. I've always been an activist. I've always been about humanity and doing my research, which I knew right away once those towers came down and the way they came down, that something wasn't quite right. And in my activism, I knew that I needed to do some more research for the benefit of humanity and get out there and start speaking the truth. And it's led into other sectors of truth, but it all basically connects back to 9/11. It branches out in so many different areas.
Yeah, no, the same happened with me. It wasn't just 9/11 in a vacuum. You know, you follow the tentacles of your own personal investigation, and you realize that, at least for me, 9/11 was just scratching the surface, really, of
right.
what's going on out there. I'm going to get back to that. Trina, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Hi, David. I am.
Hi, Trina. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you.
And by the way, sorry guys for the technical difficulties, but
oh, no worries. We get through it.
We figured it out. So I've got a note here that Trina loves humanity. How did you get hooked up with I Am the Face of Truth and Claudio?
Oh, that's a good story. I saw a banner. They are noticeable. We cannot underestimate their power. I saw a banner and asked what it was about. The person that had it, they told me 9/11 awareness, and I was already posting 9/11 truth topics and documentaries. Have shared yours way long before I even knew who you were. The Anatomy of a Great Deception, that was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
And several other documentaries I'd post from time to time, but I have to admit I kicked it up a notch once I got an awareness banner, because it was so epic. It was such a great deception, and it was such a sophisticated psyop operation that you just can't ignore this, because the people that did it are still in power, and the kind of world we're going to leave for my great nieces and my great nephews, it's just unacceptable to not do something.
So I'm asking, I'm going to kind of go around here, and if anyone else wants to pipe in and answer the same question, please do. But I'm going to start with you, Trina. When did you first realize something was off about 9/11?
Actually, the day I came home from work that day, they let us all leave early, and it just didn't sit right with me the way everything just disintegrated. I thought, wow, that was just strange. But I was approached to look at it by a friend, and I actually refused them. I told them, no, I can't do that. I can't think of my own government having a hand in this. And I actually turned away from it and would not listen.
I think we all do that at
about
first.
Another year later, I kept seeing things, and it was just, the evidence is overwhelming. And when I learned about Building 7, that was the clincher.
Yeah, as Kathy McGrade likes to say, that it was the smoking gun.
Yeah.
And it's
my
the
license
main
plate
character
says
of a lot of movies.
WTC7. I got a personalized tag. It's the smoking gun for sure.
Kevin, what about you? When did your eyes open up to the fact that something's not right here?
Well, I'd have to say the first day. I was a late bloomer. I woke up to the truth very late, but I had questions the first day, and somehow I managed to rationalize those questions. But I was late in the game. I was kind of explaining this earlier when I was talking to Howard. But I had a friend who basically tracked me down. He knew I was politically active in the past, and he wanted me to get involved in this, and he just wouldn't let it go. In fact, I think that he challenged me. He offered me $1,000 if I could prove him wrong. I told him I didn't really care about the $1,000, although actually I wouldn't mind $1,000 if somebody wanted to send it.
Your friend is an enterprising guy.
Yeah.
I mean, what a nice challenge.
him.
You'll never have to pay any money out on it. You'll just get people to look. But sorry,
You know,
go ahead.
the really sad part is he's a young guy. He was very smart, very witty, very good-looking young man. And he died the day that I joined the Face of Truth campaign.
Oh.
And it was very sad. He died in a tragic hiking accident. But so that was a little down note there. And it's too bad because I think he was a great asset to the movement. He was planning on possibly speaking and maybe even doing a tour. So it was sad to see that happen from, personal and political reasons.
Well, it sounds like his memory is living on through you because you've obviously
Absolutely.
you are now active, obviously not just aware, and that there's two levels of truth, and I think in this regard, there's certainly people that are aware, but that kind of live their life as if they're not aware, and then there's people that, like all of you guys, that actually feel like we need to do something about this.
Absolutely.
Gino, sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, I think that's really where the Face of Truth campaign comes in. I was just wasting my time online talking to people about it. You want to talk to other people who've, discovered the same thing, maybe deepen your understanding. But when Claudio and the Face of Truth came along, it gave me a purpose for the new information I'd gathered.
All right, Gina, what?
Yes.
How did your eyes open up to any of this? I want to hear your story too.
It was kind of progressive. I would say I really delved into looking at all different sides of truth disclosure and the corruption on this planet, within our governments, not just in our country, other countries, probably within the last 14 years. And the more I researched and the more I found out, I just reached, a place where, wow, I really have to get involved and do something here, and I need to assist folks in through the waking up process. And I have to say the cognitive dissonance that I encounter is just astronomical.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I'll tell you what, we got to keep doing our best and moving forward and standing strong on truth and, keep our courage up and, just reel people in and get that message across that, we have to unite. I do have to say, David, you had asked a question earlier to Claudio, how do you defeat the bad guys? And I'm going to tell you, from my heart, the best way to defeat the bad guys, so to speak, is through unity, is through having the courage to continue to stand on truth, no matter how many times we are attacked. It's just crucial. It's the only way we're going to shift this thing in a positive way.
Now, I totally agree with you on that. So the cognitive dissonance, and for any listeners not aware of that psychological concept, it's in this case, someone comes and says, the American government had a hand to, had played a role in allowing or even conducting this terrorist event. It's so far outside of your world view for most people that they dismiss it without
you kind of shut down.
It just because it does not fit into what you believe, you have to ignore it, or you actually. And I'm guessing you all, on some level, I certainly did. I think Howard did as well. You go through it's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Did that happen for you guys as well?
Absolutely.
Yes. It's almost like mourning what you thought the way things were,
stages
and
of grief.
out.
Yeah, stages
that
of grief.
Actually that's a great way to summarize it, because I went through
it was easy to get distracted because they had they had a great villain in Osama bin Laden, and they had, he's orchestrating all these people, and they had such a great side story that, as Americans, we're feeling attacked. you know, and our pride is hurt. And it's like, how could you attack America? I love America. And then they're like, well, we're going to go attack them. And we're like, well, yeah, cool. You know,
I was fist pumping when Bush said we're going into Iraq.
Heck yeah, I was totally. That was the first time I was behind Bush's whole presidency. You know, and they had such a great side story.
Yeah, if you read my awakening story, it's much the same as what you guys are saying.
So the people in your personal lives, where are they now? How have they responded to where you stand and what you're doing? Do you find that they're accepting of it? They don't want to talk about it? Have you woken other people up? I'd like to hear about that from you guys. Who wants to give me their,
Well, may I? Since I'm the guy that basically that started with this campaign. I was aware. I'm aware of passive marketing because I was in sales. And you, Dave, you can relate to what I'm saying. Being a business guy and you got to sell your DVDs and anything else you had to do regarding that. That there are different ways to sell something. When you want to sell something difficult, a new paradigm, a new product, something extremely revolutionary. And you may get resistance from your audience. What you need to do is you need to, advertise passively. You do it passively. So, and passive marketing is using the power of basic human curiosity, so they will buy your product when they're ready. But if you expose, the only way that they'll know about your product is if they see it all the time. Like, this is why, they pay millions and millions of dollars for a few seconds, a commercial on the Super Bowl. The more times, you see a particular ad, the more confidence you have with it, you feel at home with it, and then boom, you buy the product. And so we're selling 9/11 truth, okay? Our banners are basically saying that we are here. There are people like beautiful. I don't know if you notice how beautiful these, Kevin Brant is as a human being, Trina and Gina.
Actually, I can attest to this, and we're on the radio now, but I've seen all your pictures, and you guys are beautiful people. I mean, the 9/11 Truth community is a good-looking in and out, Claudio. I know, yes, inside and outside. But it's a good-looking crew of people.
Beauty, to me, it's about the whole package. It's if you happen to be good-looking, great, and but it's the inside. It's not the superficial that really counts. And that's why that's what they brainwashed us to look at the superficial, and that's the damn problem. And so, but regarding this campaign. And why we need more banners up is that we need to show a bigger presence. When you see something and it's big, people pay attention. And over time, they start to look into it. My personal experience regarding just having my 9/11 awareness banner, and I tell everybody, I said, look, I never approached my family regarding 9/11. Not one time. I behave, to them. I don't go say 9/11 is inside job. I says, hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I'll be at the wedding on Thursday. I behave the same as I always have with them. But that banner there, because guess what? My family, they're all on freaking Facebook, right? And we're all connected. And so little by little, they start to ask questions. Once they start to ask questions, that's where it starts, But that's the power of passive marketing. And that's why we need to do this on a large scale. So that's why I said to you earlier, Dave, that once you ask, for another banner, on your own, without me asking you, a voluntary act, and that is a voluntary act. I said, this guy gets it. This guy understands.
So because you did it in a passive marketing, because you did it in that way, I'm assuming it didn't affect your circle of friends very much.
No, it did not.
You didn't have people shutting you out.
I've got like super right wing family. I think we all do. We all got crazy uncles and all of that, but they started to say, to root for us. They started to like our friends. They started to friend our friends with the banners. My family. You know what I'm saying? And they're having, relationships with them, sharing stuff. But this is how it starts.
Yeah, I had a very, very similar experience to where I'm more like you. I don't like it when people jump in my face and want to shove something down my throat. I react. You could be coming at me with winning lottery numbers, and if you're trying to shove them in my face, I'm going to push you away just to spite you.
We are seed planters.
That's right. And so for me personally,
and it gets watered once in a while, and then all of a sudden sun hits it also. Yeah. And one day it starts to freaking germinate.
Yeah, I wasn't as calculated. As you were, but I'm as I'm listening to your story, I'm realizing I had a very similar experience because I was passive and just worked on AGD, The Anatomy of a Great Deception with David, and all of a sudden all my friends start coming to me, and they're like,
there you go.
Dude, that movie, right. I can't stop thinking about it.
You're being yourself. It's like we're not crazy. Like the media's painting us as like we're the bad guys. Eventually there's going to be another false flag, and guess who they're going to blame? Us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so we got from now till then to do something. I'm really hip to that. And so anyway, but that's why, this campaign, I wish, David, I would give you this campaign. I'll just be the marketing guy in outreach. The other thing is that there are a lot of people that are against what we're doing because what we're doing actually works. And if something works and it's not, in favor of the bad guys, well, the bad guys are going to do something about it. So we've been fighting them online like crazy. Since we started this campaign, I'm telling you, I can go back into the very beginning of this campaign when we were attacked.
I was about to ask, do any of you have any stories where you felt pushback from the powers that be, let's say?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's been many cases. Probably the most dramatic example would be what Christopher Bolin went through. Literally people, police coming into his house and brutalizing him. Fortunately, none of the others here have had to suffer that. But getting back to your previous question about the approach, I do believe it's about planting seeds, but I do have a slightly more aggressive approach that I sometimes use, and it involves one video online and one movie. And the video online is one that somebody put together from a A&E film called 9/11 Massive Evidence, Why Some People Are Still in Denial. It's about 10 minutes. And if I can get somebody to watch that video, then the next thing I do is show them Anatomy of a Great Deception. Because I do believe that is the single best introduction to 9/11 truth there is.
Yes, I 100% agree.
This is not a setup. I did not ask them to say that.
We happen to be lucky enough to be on the program. The guy that created a fantastic tool for the entire movement. That's what we're doing. We're creating a marketing tool. You created something that we could hand to mom and pop, and they could because in sales again, stories sell, facts tell. You got a story to tell.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's always been the most compelling point about AGD for me is if it just would have been purely factual, if there would have been the human element and the story that was interwoven with it, I don't know that I ever would have got it. But that movie's why I'm here. So
yes, well, that movie, it's woken up people. Dino was trying to get it to his wife. He bought it, by the way, off our site or your site, Dave. But he's dying for his wife to watch it because she wants nothing to do with 9/11. But he said that, because me and, he's watched the movie like, 10 times, and I said, yo, man, story sell, facts tell, man. You take the audience to, through your journey and that they can easily, relate to. And then your road of discovery. And then what you're, now look at you, where you are. And so it's a perfect tool for the movement. But just like that tool, there's a lot, we have authors. Christopher Bolin with his fantastic book, and he's coming out with the second one, right, Kevin, soon?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. He didn't mention that.
Well, connecting the dots, and that's the other thing. See, so our campaign and a tool like Anatomy of a Great Deception basically wakes the people up, and then then they go down the rabbit hole, like we say, to get all to make all the connections. The next best thing after Anatomy of a Great Deception is to read Christopher Bolin's book, man. That guy breaks it down. It's like his own road of discovery. You know, it's like, you know, the dancing Israelis, you know, from this little article in New Jersey, you know, and he started to go down that road, and he started making connections. And by the way, you know, he's lived in Israel, you know, he made the Zionist connection, you know, and it's pretty blatant. That's the other thing. It's the truth, you know, is really right in front of us, but a lot of people just choose not to look at it because it's just way too ugly, you know. And but if you do it little by little, that's what I mean about passively. You know, they'll do, you know, a matter of time, and in their own terms, they will say, okay, yes, I'm going to have to do something about it because I see the connections. I see that my family's going to be going to suffer. My grandchildren, my children are going to suffer based on me doing nothing. So anyway, I'll leave you guys with that.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it's about for me. Is I'm worried about the world I'm going to leave for my son. You know, the world that my parents left for me is not nearly as good as the world their parents left for them.
That's
right.
And
when I just turned 50 this year, and when I look at the changes in this country in my lifetime, I mean, I used to listen to my grandfather, my uncles, and they're all like, "Oh, this place is going to hell," you know, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? This place is great, man. It was the 70s. Are you kidding me?" And but now that I have lived half of a century, I look at the changes in this country from the time that I can remember when I was, you know, a preteen and stuff like that up through my life. And it's amazing the way this country is falling apart. And then there are people that will stand there and say, this is still the best country in the world and we're on the right path. And they're just lying. They're just lying.
You got that right.
That's the hardest thing, because in a lot of ways, you know, I don't like the word what we're selling, but it's not the best message, which is, you know, as a nation, we need to look in the mirror a little bit because we're not the
we're the silent majority now, though, because when you ask anybody, everybody, the largest percentage will tell you that they don't like where we're headed, that they think there's something wrong with the path we're on. They just don't know how to get involved. They're too preoccupied to get involved, or they just don't care.
Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
That I think is really important? What I'm discovering is that a lot of people are not getting involved, and this is a lot of people that I talk to.
Bless you.
Their response is, what is little old me? This little voice. What is little old me going to do in this very, very big screwed up world? Yep. And my answer to that is nothing is ever too big or too small. Every voice of truth is important.
Absolutely.
Because if we get all our little voices and come together collectively, we can make very, very huge ripples.
Yep.
I think that's true. I do believe that. The deception is everything. If you look at the false flag attack in Syria, where they basically killed a lot of people with sarin gas, it was exposed very quickly. People like Kid O'Keefe brought it to a larger public. And once that was exposed, it derailed their plans for an invasion of Syria.
Yeah.
So when they can't successfully, carry off the deception, it does disrupt their plans.
Yep. And
so
the more we talk about it, the more we talk about it, the more people are they're more willing to look at something at more than face value, and not just take it at face value.
Let me add exactly to what you just said. If every single person that actually gives a crap got out of their comfort zone, became blatantly concerned, that it's in your face more or less, it gives others courage, and and once you give people courage, then they will act. But, remember that we have been brainwashed. We're exposing the matrix, but a lot of us that stepped out of the matrix and realized that one actually really exists, we bring the luggage from the matrix here. And then we're trying to expose the matrix, but they have embedded in our DNA, the stuff to make sure that the matrix continues and continues to thrive. And by the time that we get it together, that we get hip to that, like I said, there'll be another false flag attack, and they'll be blaming people like us. Then suddenly, one day, advocacy will be outlawed. We'll have a police state all over the place.
Well, activism is already under attack, and free speech is already under attack. I mean,
that's very true. That's very true.
It's already in motion, and I think.
Excuse me, Trina, please, sweetie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I'm not. No,
don't worry, Trina. We can mute his mic if it comes down to it. So
it will become. It will be against the law to be an advocate. That's how bad it may get. I'm sorry, Trina. That's all. I just wanted to finish that one line.
That's okay, and you're absolutely right, because I believe it is coming down to that. I think anybody with the blinders off sees the writings on the wall as far as how activism and the free speech thing is already under attack. So,
yeah, I agree with you. Once you start looking at 9/11 and get past the fact that it was, as they say, an inside job, you begin to realize that a lot of it was actually an outside job. It wasn't It wasn't simply Bush deciding to blow up the towers and attack the Pentagon. This was something that was in planning for decades. The War on Terror was first proposed in Jerusalem in 1979. And there's a lot of evidence that basically this was a Mossad operation. And the Mossad has become sort of the arm of the oligarchs for creating problems all over the world. And you can see, and Israel today is very similar to South Africa in the 1970s. And that South Africa, the apartheid state, really came down because of the boycott movement, the divestment movement. And they are actually making it illegal to advocate this movement. There was recently effort, in fact, it was successful, at the UC system, at UC Berkeley, I know of, where you cannot advocate that in any official capacity. So that they're being very smart, and they are blocking the most obvious response we would have to the knowledge we gathered from 9/11.
Yeah, and I would like to see a huge 15-year anniversary thing at 9/11 at Ground Zero, but I watched a video, and they have all kinds of signs posted, that you can't hand out any type of political statements around the area. And the thought of them charging admission to the memorial there at 9/11, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Does that money go to Larry Silverstein?
Trina.
Who would that go to?
Oh, my.
I don't know.
Jeff Solomon?
Yeah, how's that for irony? So what are the goals of I'm the Face of Truth? What do you what's a victory in your mind over, let's say, the next 12 to 24 months?
Can I say something on that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I think we all need to understand something really important, and that is the fact that the people that did this are still in control.
Without a doubt.
And without a powerful mechanism, a tool, where we can totally remove the blinders from the general public, we don't stand a chance in hell of changing or repairing the current corrupt system as it stands. And at least we are marketing the truth, and it's a sad day, really, when you have to market the truth. But that's what we're doing. We're marketing, and our banner campaign really has a chance to wake up and take the blinders off. And the more of us there are, the better off we are, and there's strength in numbers.
Yeah, that for a couple observations for me. One, we asked that question, what does defeating them look like? I think there are different levels of success that we can shoot for here. One of the bottom levels, though, is when we've got mass awareness about 9/11 and other operations or things of that nature, the trick won't work on us anymore. That is a level of victory which certainly slows them down. It might not restore America's freedom back to where it was perhaps 100 years ago, but it is it's turning the ship at least a few degrees. In addition to, I had another point that I was going to make with that.
Well, with that point, I'm getting a lot of PMs. A lot of people are trying to call and they're saying that they. One of them is Vic Sadat. One of the, Vic Sadat. He's one of the
truthador.
Yeah, the heavy duty guy that inspired me to get out of my comfort zone and step up and do something. Well, he's been trying to call, and he says that the number is incorrect. So can you guys just?
Dude, we barely got the four of you guys on. No,
come
come
on.
on, Claudio.
That's next
you're
week.
Nuts, dude.
Well, he's trying to,
No, we had.
I love Vic, and I know the work he does. If we add any more people to this call because we're doing
he's trying to call the phone. There are people trying to call in. The phone.
Right, but it's tied up with Skype.
Right.
So
we're a little studio here in the backwoods of
growing.
Detroit. This is not. We're not in some high rise with $1 million equipment.
Yeah, we don't even have indoor plumbing.
We are sharing a Skype line, and if we add even one more person to it, we're going to be having a lot of drop offs and silent periods. So
you touched on something really important. One of the tools, money is a tool. The bad guys have it all. They can do whatever the hell they want. They could knock this call, off because they own these
and sometimes
lines.
They do, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got stories regarding that, but we don't have much. And so one of the things that, when we try to, go get some funding so we could automate our banners, we want to go full time because we must, there's so many of the cartel, I call them the bad guys, all of them. They've got so many people on the payroll to fight against us. We don't have this. Like what? How many good guys are on that are living off, paying their bills based on, advocating truth?
Not many.
Richard Gage, maybe, and
I
some
think
of
he's
the
still got
authors.
a day job.
Yeah, and they're always in a funding campaign fight. I can speak from experience. I might not look it on the outside, but believe me, Michigan is a return your cans for 10 cents state, and that makes a big deal around here sometimes. So.
Well, that is a void. Like I said, there's a saying again in sales that everyone doing a little bit and a lot gets done. I mean, I didn't have much money when I woke up regarding 9/11. But I gave, architects and engineers a couple of $100, over the course of, the 2 years that I was, when I first woke up in 2011. And because I understood, money is a tool. That's why you need, you got to go to a bank. You want to start a business. You got to go to a bank so you can get the secretaries, so you can get the, your office equipment, rent the space, etc. So you can set up, so you can, run your venture. And but money is a tool. And they're keeping us, I saw Christopher Bolin, out of all people, someone else posted, we post Christopher Bolin stuff everywhere. Every day something Christopher Bolin goes out there, on the internet, in the cyber world. And someone attacked him because they says, oh yeah, keep enriching his treasure chest. This is a guy that has a wife and kids and breaks his butt, doing the best he can to save humanity. And all he's concerned with, he could be a journalist like Rachel Maddow, make $25 million a year. I can leave this campaign and go freaking buy my damn Porsche that I had at 21 years old, and live next to Barbara Streisand's mom again, but I'm here. And Christopher Bolin is here, and David Hooper is here, and all of these awesome, talented, dedicated people are here. And sometimes we need everybody doing a little bit and a lot gets done. Become, buy our books. I don't have any books, but, we got T-shirts. Buy our T-shirts. It helps us. We also, we break our ass here. I mean, if the girls can testify to all the work that goes on behind the scenes and the toll that it takes from us, from our daily lives, where our wives, our wives and our husbands start to, get a little pissed off at us, Yeah,
so, I actually wanted to ask that exact question from Gina and Trina.
Yes, good.
Your spouses, how did they react to this, and where are they now? And then I'm also going to ask about raising money and perhaps what your plans are there. But I'd like to hear from Trina and Gina on how your interpersonal circle reacted to this, because you are I'm not. This may sound sexist. It is not meant to be, but it seems that the 9/11 Truth movement has more men in it than women. Am I wrong about that?
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Oh, the men request quadruple the women request to get a banner.
Okay, so that what I've viewed anecdotally is it sounds like you guys are reflecting it too. So in your case, you're like in the minority here. How did your inner circles respond? And Gina, maybe we'll start with you. How did your inner circle, your family, I don't know if you have children, your husband, brothers, sisters, how did they respond in the beginning, and where are they today?
Okay, well, mine's going to be really easy. I am actually single now, but as far as my family is concerned, they're pretty much not in the place I'm at. I've had to do a lot of soul searching about my inner circle because this is so important to me. I've had to let some family members go and let quite a number of friends go that were not on the same page as myself. So, yeah, that's just pretty much I've designed my life so I could be dedicated to do this kind of work.
Now I understand where Claudio came up with the term warrior on your behalf. And that's not an easy thing to do because you do at some point. Yeah.
It's a big sacrifice.
There are times where you have to a friendship naturally it gets lost if you're going to pursue this.
Yes.
Trina, what about you? Tell me a little bit about your personal experience with your inner circle.
My inner circle, as far as friendships go, I have one or two really, really great friends that I can discuss these inner workings with. The others, I don't really feel like I connect with them on that level, and we just really don't talk about it. In fact, a few still believe the official story, so I just can't really. I try to get into a good conversation with it, but it's still a little bit difficult if someone doesn't want to actually look at evidence.
Well, Trina, we never had this discussion. We're always so busy, you can never cover everything. But, I have an Anatomy of a Great Recession deception DVD.
Well, that might be the Anatomy of a Great Recession coming up.
But that's
the sequel.
That's one long friggin' title, I'm telling you right now.
But that's
rookie mistake.
Yeah, but that's the relationship with my inner circle of friends. Now, as far as family, they know what I'm about and they know that I'm involved, but they're not. And
I'm just saying, Trina, I meant to say that. Why don't you just hand them a movie? Hand them that. Yeah,
we still not because then it just collects dust. You literally have to sit them down with a gun to their head, or give them
some nachos,
or you have to feed them and give them drinks. I mean, that's how it
worked for me.
They haven't just outright discounted what I'm saying. None of them say, "Oh, you're a loon." They're pretty good about that as far as my immediate family. They're busy. A lot of my family, they're raising little bitty kids right now, and they're involved in their own lives doing that kind of thing. And I hate to say it, but they're still kind of in that bubble where they're just living life and life is good. Kids are coming and they're happy for the most part. And like we were talking about earlier, when you're in the rabbit hole, it's a little bit more of a mourning period and your life changes and you don't see that rosy picture like they see. And I fight for all of them. I don't personally have children, but I feel like I'm fighting for their children. And as far as my husband, he's amazing. He's not at the point where I am, but he is so supportive of me. And he's been very supportive of the time I have dedicated and devoted to the campaign. So he gets it, and he is behind me 100%, but he's not as able to be involved like I am.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wanted to just throw in when everybody's talking about their spouses. I've been very, very lucky in so many ways with my wife, but she has never given me 1 ounce of grief on this. She's been open-minded the entire time, and when I was like watching the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, honey, can you look at this? Do you believe this? She just sat down and watched it with an open mind, and
yeah, he'll watch movies with me too and documentaries and such, and we talk about it after. But he's not involved to the extent in activism like I am.
Yeah, no, she's not. I mean, she's very supportive of me, but she's not an activist herself. But I consider myself very lucky, as are you,
Yes, I am.
That
And
that
so are you.
my wife believed enough in my intellect, my intelligence, my gut reaction that if I believed this was true and it didn't look completely false to her, that she's like, okay, yeah, I'll watch this. I'll check it out.
If my wife would have, if Betsy would have had the same, like if she would have trusted and believed me, we never would have ended up making this movie.
and going.
So in some ways, I mean, there was some benefits
right
to that, but
right.
I want to play devil's advocate, and I think Trina, you were talking about this. So what? So what if people live in a bubble? What's why? And now, of course, I'm on your side of the fence here. All right, I'm just saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate. So you've got some friends that maybe even are aware of the truth, or slightly aware, or they're kind of shading their eyes from it. But to the person that says, "Why do I need to know this? Why does it matter?" How would you respond to that?
I would say it matters because it was a lie. It was a deception, and it needs to be exposed. And I believe in, well, I don't like to use the word believe either, but in order for us to go forward with any type of real change or hope, we can't let this continue.
What do you say to the person that's counters with, well, the Gulf of Tonkin was a lie and a false flag, and the Kennedy assassination was, that there was something wrong about that. There are many people that think Oswald. In fact, 89% of the country doesn't think Oswald did it.
May I answer that?
Sure. I mean, I want to hear.
He didn't even finish the question.
He already, but I think he knew where I was going. Hit it up, Claudio. What's your response to that?
Yeah, no, Trina wanted to finish something?
No.
Well, I was just asking a question.
Finish.
How do you reply to someone that counters, so you've put your lives on hold to expose the truth. And believe me, I feel your pain on levels that, only the people listening in on this call can understand. But to those guys that are on the other side of the fence, the ones that are just maybe a little lukewarm to the truth, that want to stay in the bubble that Trina referenced, and if it was a great line of.
No, you described half my family. It was
perfect. Well, and you described half of my people too, and they come back. Well, the government's been lying all throughout history. I mean, how do you reply to that argument?
Well, first you got to have an understanding of human beings, the general population. In sales and marketing, whatever. I had to do a lot of research regarding the market. After I got out of telecommunications, then I went online. I saw the potential there. I mean, that's why I got into telecommunications, and to begin with, like most people. And so what you do is you got to follow trends. You got to follow, just like the government does. How they study, the human population, our behavior, our buying habits, like what they do with Google, etc. And then, you connect dots, and then you can predict behavior, right?
Well,
so. Excuse me, sweetheart.
Hey guys, I want you guys to know something.
No, we love each other.
No. Hang on, Claudio, because I'm about to make fun of you here. Earlier this week, Claudio said, "Now I want to let these guys talk because I'm always doing all the talking. So you make sure you ask them the questions." And here you are, you're like cock blocking everybody. Oh, that's a bad word.
Yeah, and I want to say this too because this is important. Playing devil's advocate, like we were talking about. People that say, what does it matter? We've had JFK, we've had the Gulf of Tonkin, and all these other false flag events. It still matters. It's still going to keep affecting us. Unemployment, inflation, housing bubbles. 9/11 was a psychological event and a financial event. And it's affecting everyone's pockets somehow.
Well, yeah, let
me follow up on that if I can.
Sure, Kevin.
I do believe that all those events that you're talking about are very important, and people need to investigate all of that. And we do have more than one group we operate, and we try to raise awareness about all of this. But 9/11 is driving the equation today. It is the central event of our time, and so this is not history. It is contemporary reality. And once you understand 9/11, you will have a greater understanding of everything which happened before and what's going on today.
All right, we've got just a couple more minutes here.
Yeah,
Do you guys see
yes.
Kevin, it's a very good point, which leads to this question. We have 1 minute. Is 9/11, was that the end-all, be-all, or in your inner circles amongst yourselves, do you see something else coming up down the road and view 9/11 as creating,
Right.
are you opening up a door for something even larger, or do you think that's we're now dealing with the biggest, baddest monster we can possibly
That's speculation.
imagine?
It is speculation. I think a lot of people are waiting for another 9/11. I think that I think that's a mistake. They seem to be engaging in smaller false flags, cheaper false flags. This took. I mean, I would say that the money missing from the Pentagon, the $2.3 trillion, was their slush fund, and I don't think this is something they can stage every day. So they seem to be able to deceive us into war with cheaper, smaller events that basically capitalize on what we think we know about 9/11 already. So, no, I'm not waiting for a nuclear bomb to fall someplace to deceive us, or another set of towers coming down. I think that we've been fooled already, and they simply need to do smaller acts to reinforce that false narrative.
All right, last thing we have time
Totally
for. What can any of our listeners do to get involved with I Am the Face of Truth? Where do they go? Give us a website. How can they get involved? Who do they contact? Can someone maybe say something about that?
May I finish what I was saying? And
I was just teasing you earlier, Claudio. But you got about 30 seconds.
We're all friends here, by the way, you guys out there listening. Anyway, we're looking for the 10% that are ready to wake up. Everybody else will naturally follow, but the leaders always make things happen. It's always been that way throughout history. That's what I mean about the marketplace.
So where do they go? Where can they go to find out more about this?
You can go, if you're on Facebook. We are on Lord have mercy. We are look for awareness banners, 9/11 awareness profile pictures.
All right.
That's our group page. IamTheFaceOfTruth.com is our website, and through that one you could find our a lot of advocates like yourself. You're on there, and architects and engineers, Christopher Boland, and you could also find how you can get a 9/11
and to request a banner, go to I Am the Face of Truth 9/11 Awareness Profile Pics and request to join.
All right. That is on this show all we have time for. It's I Am the Face of Truth. I highly recommend it.
Check it out.
We're completely out of time.
Thanks, guys.
Let's talk. I want to have you guys back in a few months and continue the personal side of this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today, all of you guys,
for your patience.
and for what you do
God
for
bless
this
you.